What's going on, my fellow Jedi Padawans? Welcome back to another channel video here. We got ourselves a good old Titan build for y'all. Punchy boy, just like Shaxy Boo Yaxy. We're taking it to an arc build using the new aspect that we got, as well as the Insurmountable Skullfort, which also got buffed this season, which it grants melee energy when hitting targets with a melee attack, grants it based on what melee is used. So powered melees gives you the most, non-glaive unpowered melees with knockout active, and then unpowered melees or glaive is included in that. So that is from Bungie's website in the TWABs, so Twids, whatever they're called now. But we got ourselves, like I said, the Insurmountable Skullfort with Transfusion Matrix. Final blows with arc melees trigger health regeneration and fully recharge your melee energy, as well as melee hits grant that arc energy. So like I just talked about, that's where that buff came into place, but we're getting melee energy back on defeats fully, as well as getting that health to regen. So it is a beautiful combination. We're going through the Nether and the Expert version sometimes, even with this, with ease actually, just because of how much the health gets triggered to get it back in there, as well as the amount of enemies that you can wipe out quickly with this build, no matter their power basically, because you're getting your melee back quickly with that buff that it gives you based on the different types of melee that you're getting. Like I said, full melee defeats, you're getting that full regen as well. So like I was saying, we're going to be using that new Storm's Keep aspect that we got in this episode Heresy here, casting our class ability. So throwing our shield down gives us a moderate amount of bolt charges that stack on us and our nearby allies. When we're behind that barricade, the bolt charges will stack up over time, allowing our weapons to discharge our bolt charges, which usually that has to be from an arc ability, or any ability I should say, damages and creates a powerful lightning strike at that location with these bolt charges. But now our weapons can do it, so it doesn't even have to be an arc weapon, it can be any weapon. So that is a super nice aspect of it, because it does a pretty good amount of damage on stuff like champions, bosses, mini bosses as well. So we got a lot of different options. We're going to be running knockout with this so we can get even better melee range and damage with it. Don't need the health regen because we're already getting that from Insurmountable Skullfort, but it just kind of doubles up on each other. For me, I'm using our pulse grenade. I really like the thunderclap with this because we get that extra range from knockout. Has a lot of spread, if you will, so you can wipe out a bunch of enemies at once, and we're gonna get jolting from our grenade on top of that. For me, totally up to you. For the Nether, I was using Fist of Havoc for waves of enemies. If you want a little bit more DPS, you can throw on Thunder Crash, so totally a personal opinion, or if you want to do more damage, add clear, but I was running Fist of Havoc for the most part. For our fragments, going to be very easy. We got Spark of Resistance, so we can gain more damage resistance when we are surrounded. Super good, again, for the Nether endgame activities to keep you alive. Spark of Recharge right here. Critically wounded, we get our melee and grenade faster, so getting our Thunderclap as well as our Pulse Grenade faster, which we will have an internal feedback loop in our armor as well. Spark of Feedback and taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage, so again, giving us a better Thunderclap melee in general, on top of what we're getting from Storm's Keep, the Insurmountable Skullfort, and Knockout. And then last but not least, that Spark of Shock, like I said, for our Pulse Grenade to create jolting effects going on. And like I said, we're going to get a bunch of those bolt charges on this build as well. Now, my Daft Punk Titan right here, we're going to be going with Resilience as our number 1, Discipline as our number 2, because we're getting strength back so fast with the Insurmountable Skullfort, with our new aspect, as well as that Knockout, plus the internal feedback loop that we have here in our arms with Impact Induction, Momentum Transfer, Focusing Strike. We're going to get our Shield class ability so we can get our new aspect to proc more often. Momentum Transfer is going to give us our melee when we cause damage with our grenade, and then vice versa, when we do damage with our melee, we're going to get our grenade back. So it's a nice little feedback loop between those two. On top of that, we're going to get our super very quickly with this build, because one, it is a roaming super if we're using Fist of Havoc, and then we're also using Hands On. So all of those melee defeats that we're getting with Thunderclap is going to give us a bunch of super energy. We're going to be collecting Orbs of Power as well with the Double Strand Siphon, as well as Harmonic Siphon right there, I should say, just Strand and Harmonic. So we're going to be using the different weapons in that variety, which I'll show you in a second. For me, on my chest piece, I was really kind of running what ever what I was going into on that expert nether runs, because we're getting hit so hard. We don't have health regeneration. Putting on double, triple, totally up to you. Just whatever makes you feel the best for staying alive in whatever content you're going up in. For me, I went with arc weapon surge, double on our boots, as well as double time dilation, so our heavy weapon as well as our fusion is going to stay up as much as possible damage wise. Recuperation with outreach, so when we do throw down our class ability, we're going to get back our melee a little bit. Recuperation right here, every time we pick up those orbs of power that we're creating from everything that we're going to be using, we're going to get a nice little bit of that health back as well, so another way to stay alive on top of using our melee to get back our health as well as all the orbs of power. So beautiful build that we got for that nether specifically, and then even that end game content when GMs come out going through raids, stuff like that, this thing is going to blow through it with ease. For weapons with this build, for me, I went with the final warning right here. You can see we got our adepts from running that expert, but this final warning, we're getting anti-barrier on it. Very good for spreading that strand that we got going on with this build because of our fragments and aspects that we got with the double siphon. I went with the Midhaz Reckoning. This is a nice fusion rifle that we got. Love this from one of our raids, but you can throw on any arc fusion rifle. We got main ingredient, we got pulse one, a lot of different options in this slot. Same thing with our machine gun. For me, I was going with the watchful eye some of the time, since thing's got that eddy current with jolting feedback. It could also go with something like Song of Your Root, reconstruction target lock. Very good options right here, but we're stunning overload champions with these because of our perks that we got on for our aspects this season. And then we got ourselves, this is going to stun unstoppable, so with this build we can stun all three of our champions, as well as do a bunch of damage to bosses. As for the tablet of ruin right here, the little tablet with a black hole or something right there in it, we're going to be using the unstoppable fusion, like I said, overload machine, and that piercing sidearms. Overclock and load right here, well, we are amplified or have those bolt charges, which is consistently. Arc weapons gain increased handling and reload, very good for our fusion as well as our LMG. We're going to be using that unraveling orbs, so our final warning is going to get a good amount of unraveling rounds on this, because innately it's going to cause tangles to be had. Innately it also causes sever unraveling, and then just all those orbs of power that we're also creating with this build. Third column right here, we got hold the line. Well surrounded machine guns, glaives gain increased reload and stability. Final blows also heal us, very good for the LMGs that I gave you. King's Vestige right here, defeating powerful Taken loads your weapon with Taken energy. The next time you fire it, it launches 3 Taken Seekers. This can also disrupt overload champions, but we're getting this very easy in a lot of different activities that we go into, but specifically, again, the nether is going to be a good thing to go, so we can get those adept weapons that we were grinding, and I showed you really briefly in the weapons that I was using. For me, I am using this dreadful finisher right here. Defeating powerful combatants with our finisher spawns special ammo for us and our allies. Very, very good, because we also get those subjugators, tormentors, champions spawn even more ammo. Very beautiful, because there's a lot of that going on inside of that expert nether. Flash over right here, when we have the maximum number of bolt charges, you also become amplified. Lightning bolts deal more damage, so we're going to become amplified consistently. Plus, like I said, with this build, we're throwing down that shield with the new aspect to get a bunch of different bolt charges on this build, so it's always going to proc. Now, in the last column over here, we got a couple different options that I think, in my personal opinion. First one right here is the heavy ordnance regeneration. We got ourselves dealing sustained damage to targets with a heavy LMG, or a rocket grants us damage resistance, which is super nice in that end game. Plus, we're getting our grenade and melee back faster, so again, a little feedback loop. It is super beautiful. Last but certainly not least, you could go with this, the particle reconstruction, dealing sustained damage with that fusion rifle that we have on, refills the magazines from reserves, and grants bonus damage for a short period of time. Very nice, but you could also throw on something like this if you wanted. Totally up to you for this last column. Defibrillating blast. I just totally butchered that, but you know what I'm saying. ADHD people, I can't talk. Stunning a champion grants maximum number of bolt charges, which is super good with this build. We're building that in general. Triggers arc bolts to heal you, and jolting combatants that it targets. So this is probably the overall better choice with the heavy ordnance regeneration, but you could go on with that particle reconstruction as well. Totally up to you. This build, we're getting a bunch of going on, like I said, we're getting jolts, we're getting that nice big old explosion from our melees, the Insurmountable Skullfort. We're getting it back instantly. It is a sweet little build that we got. Bolt charges are flying around, so we got a big old amplification, lightning charge going on as well. So it is a beautiful build to go through, basically clear out anything. Very good at keeping ads at bay, and like I said, Thunder Crash, you can do a good amount of damage, as well as that LMG you can too. So it is a sweet little build. Nether wise, go farm those depths in that expert version, go run that Templar, you know what I'm saying, to get your craftable Fatebringer, etc. So really appreciate you guys for sticking with me, coming back to the channel. As always, we got a lot more heresy coming at you this week, coming up here. Love that you guys keep coming back, means a lot to me. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe, hit that bell if you have not, join the Discord if you would like as well. We like to hang out, do a little, I like to build that community, or trying to get more into that side of the stuff in the Destiny world, just gaming in general. So once again, I'm babbling, ADHD taking over, but I appreciate all you guys, love you guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.